Good morning. Please rise in body and spirit for our first hymn, and please sing along as you can. I don't have the number right with me, but Ezra will have it up shortly. 1 second. 308, The Blessings of the Earth and Sky. Good morning. As you can see, we are stirring things up a little bit for fun. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. As Richard Gilbert in Singing with the Living Tradition says, we bid you welcome. You who come with weary spirit seeking rest, we bid you welcome. Who come with hope in your heart, we bid you welcome. Who are seekers of a new faith, we bid you welcome, who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. Today, we bid Reverend Moro, our guest speaker, welcome, as well as the return of our UUCS choir. Yay! Pledge Drive team member Deborah Corris Weaver, our own Rick Davis, and especially you are welcome. You, both in person and those watching us virtually, as we take time today to support our community through the beginning of our pledge drive to support our fellow human beings in Ukraine and throughout Europe, as well as supporting our own spiritual growth, as together we say our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hope, and serve the needs of our world. Reverend Moro will light 3 chalices as a reminder of our connections to others. The first is for our friends and members of this Unitarian Universalist congregation of Salem, which is in the middle. We light our second chalice to the left for our partner church and friends in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in religious education and around the world. May the flame you see before you ignite the flame of peace and love inside you, for yourself, this community, and for the world at large. Please join me in singing The Flame into Life.
Please join me up in front here for a story. We're so glad to be back this week. As you can see, some of us are wearing red. That is to represent the first principle of the children's 7 principles of the Unitarian Universalism, and the first one is red for respect. So thank you all for wearing red today, and Reverend Rick is doing a story for us for our first time back.
Thanks, Molly. How you guys doing today? Good? All right, all right. Who remembers all the way back to a month ago when it snowed? You remember that? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? We don't get a lot of snow here in Salem, but every once in a while we get enough so that you could go around and play. And you remember the snow? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, oh wow. Snow in California even. But anyway, we had some snow, and I was walking through my neighborhood, and I walked up to the park. It's Sunny Slope Park right at the top of the hill. And I looked and I saw some kids, and they were sliding on their sleds, and they were having a lot of fun. You know, they were going down this hill in the park up there. There's only one place where you can slide. It's only one place where it's steep enough. And the kids were sliding on their sleds and their plastic, whatever they call those things, and they were having a good time, but I noticed something. I noticed that where they were sliding over and over and over again, it was getting muddy. It was everywhere else there was snow on the ground, but right where they were sliding, it was getting muddy. And so eventually it was just going to get so muddy they couldn't slide. And so right at that moment, I remembered a story that I had heard many years ago. It was a story about a son was sitting in the den on a Saturday morning, and he was watching the TV, or he was playing a video game or something. And his father came in, and he said to him, "Son, I'll bet," and it had snowed that day. It had snowed really hard outside. And the father said to the son, "You know what, son? I'll bet if you get the snow shovel and go next door to Mrs. Abernathy's house. You know, she's an old lady. She's 80 years old. She really has a hard time moving around. I'll bet that if you get out and you shovel her sidewalk and her driveway, she'll be so happy. You know what a nice lady she is. And you'll remember doing that for the rest of your life. You'll remember shoveling her the snow off her lawn. But if you stay here and just watch this TV show, you won't remember it. You won't remember doing that." So you know what the son did? What do you think he did? Well, I don't actually know what he did, but I hope that he did something good. But what I did is, when I saw those kids sliding up there on the hill, and they were, it was just getting so muddy. I thought, hey, I'm going to go back to my house, and I'm going to get my snow shovel. And I did, and I got my snow shovel, and I started shoveling snow onto the path again from around the park there. There was plenty of snow. It was just getting worn down on the path, and so I shoveled all this snow, and I kept shoveling the snow, and they were packing it down. And if somebody makes it to the Winter Olympics in the future, I get the credit, because it was a really great slide, and I just felt good. I needed some exercise. I've been cramped up inside a long time, and I just needed some exercise, so it felt good to get out and do something, and it felt good to do something for somebody else, and it made them feel happy. So always think about that. Doing wonderful things for other people is something that you'll remember, and that'll make other people feel happy. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. It really happened. I have witnesses. So if you guys want to go to your classes, you can do a shovel motion as you leave today. This is an indication that you are ready to undertake shoveling.
If the center rows can form a love arch,
Yeah, right.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Compassion and gratitude. The world this week may appear to be a weary place. The ending of February and the beginning of March reminds us we are about to start our third year of living with COVID. And although with each new surge we are told this is likely the last, it is still unknown, and we are still in limbo as we wait for the pandemic to become an endemic, and we learn to live with it. This week also saw the attack on the Ukrainian people, all for a want of power by a single man. And our hearts go out to the people in both Russia and Ukraine as the world asks again, why can't we just live together in peace and share our resources? At times like these, where world and personal concerns intermingle, it might feel too much to bear, and you want to close your heart for protection. Yet it is in these exact times we need to stretch our compassion muscle and send loving support to ourselves, to those around us, and as possible, support to those far away. One way to relight our compassion is through gratitude. Finding gratitude in the everyday person-to-person encounters, gratitude in the beauty of the earth, gratitude in the poetry of people like Wendell Berry in his poem, The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. May we follow the path of compassion and gratitude in our lives.
Good morning. I'm Eric Schumann from Lifeline's Lay Ministry. The members of Lifelines are here for you during the rough spots in life's journey. We work side by side with Reverend Rick in supporting members and friends of this congregation who are in need. I'm going to share with you 3 concerns. 2 of them were written in the book this morning. The book is posted right outside the door. The first one is from Debbie Cordes Weaver. I pray that the leaders of our world will seek God's guidance as they make life and death decisions. May there be peace on earth. The second is from Alan Holland. I'm wearing blue and yellow today in solidarity for the people of Ukraine. And I'd like to add a third, and my concern is for those brave Russians who are standing up to their government and putting their life and their liberty on the line. Next, I'd like to remind you how you can share your joys and concerns with fellow members during the service, but also before the service online. You can see the slide there. There's a link to Lifeline's Lay Ministry. You can post joys or concerns there, or you can write them in person in the foyer before the service. Thanks.
Please join us in singing number 389, To See the World.
Well, good morning. It's something I'm grateful for. You know, one of the great benefits of being older is that when you're in the supermarket wearing a mask, people can see that you're smiling, because your smile continues up those lines. So there's a blessing right there that we don't often acknowledge. This may be my last visit to this congregation before my retirement. It will not be my last visit, but I'll be retiring at the end of this year after 42 years of ministry, in spite of being much, much younger than Rick, who's not retiring quite yet. I also want to let you know ahead of time that I may need to leave a little bit early today because my wife is performing in a concert in Portland, and she's feeling a little insecure and wants to know I'm there in town. So, okay, after that little bit of housekeeping, here's my reading from Genesis 10. According to the Bible, Noah's Ark was the first great building project, like the one that you've got going here, and you'll be continuing as this year's stewardship campaign gets underway. But the Ark is not an anchored building like this beauty is. It's a floating one, built to specifications provided by Noah's buddy, a guy named God. That Ark did its job pretty well, helping humans and animals to survive a great flood. Once its work is done, the Ark is pretty much abandoned, and we don't hear much about any shared human projects for a while, besides how Noah's sons beget various lines of the human family. We hear how Shem begets one line and Japheth another, while the cursed Ham begets Cush and Mizraim and Put and Canaan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. You gotta love a pair of lines like that. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Akalna in the land of Shinar. Nimrod's name is the one that stands out. The Bible doesn't give us much, but that's enough for the rabbis and other teachers and storytellers to build into one of their great extra-biblical legends called Agadah. They start by reminding us how, when Adam and Eve broke the rules, ate the forbidden fruit, and realized that they were naked, they tried covering themselves with leaves. But when God found these naughty nudies hiding in the garden, he blew off the leaves and clothed them in the skins of some poor animals who were unlucky enough to be grazing nearby. So far, all of this is found in the Bible. But now it's time for some fun as creative storytellers explain how the first couple passed these skin clothes on to their descendants until they came to Noah, who brought them along on the ark. Later, they were stolen by Ham, who gave them to Cush, who passed them on to his own son Nimrod. It was Nimrod who first discovered that, quote, these garments had a wonderful property. He who wore them was both invincible and irresistible. Beasts and birds fell down before Nimrod as soon as they caught sight of him, and he was equally victorious in his combats with men. The source of his unconquerable strength was not known to them. They attributed it to his personal prowess, and therefore they appointed him king among themselves. He chose Shinar as his capital. Thence he extended his dominion farther and farther until he rose by cunning and force to be sole ruler of the whole world. This seems like a good time to pause for some music while the opening credits roll. Thank you. I had requested something sort of Cecil DeMille or John Huston-y from one of those great old biblical Cast of Thousands movies, and that was perfect because it gives us the little hint of gentleness at the end. So how does Nimrod choose to exercise his new political power? He starts by commissioning huge monuments to himself, drawing his subjects into a cult of personality. Things escalate quickly. Here's the story. He set himself up as a god and made a seat of himself in imitation of the seat of God. It was a tower built out of a round rock, and on it he placed a throne of cedar wood, upon which arose, one above the other, 4 thrones of iron, copper, silver, and gold. Crowning all upon the golden throne lay a precious stone, round in shape and gigantic in size. This served him as a seat, and as he sat upon it, all nations came and paid him divine homage. Nimrod now decides to mount an invasion. That's what these guys do, right? They mount invasions of heaven itself. In these days before spacecraft, the only way to attack the heavens is by sending your armies up some kind of structure. A multinational crew of 600,000 men, along with their families, come from all over the world to work on the first great building project after the Ark, the Tower of Babel, in his capital city. The tower to trump all towers. Many, many years were passed in building the tower. It reached so great a height, this is the rabbis telling us, it reached so great a height that it took a year to mount to the top. A brick was therefore more precious in the sight of the builders than a human being. If a man fell to his death, none took notice of it. But if a brick dropped, they wept, because it would take a year to replace it. They would not permit a pregnant woman to interrupt herself in her work of brickmaking when she went into labor. Molding bricks, she gave birth to her child, and tying it around her body in a sheet, she went on molding bricks. Thus, Nimrod founded not only the first multinational capital enterprise, but also the world's first HMO. A man dies, and so what? A brick falls, and oh my God, a brick! Lost time or material is mourned grievously. A lost person? Barely noticed. Giving birth to a child is no excuse for a woman to rest. There are bricks to be made, people. Bricks! Now Nimrod's archers climb to the top and start to shoot, quote, arrows toward heaven, which would come down covered with blood. They cried, "We have slain all who are in heaven." Thereupon God said, "Let us go down and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." Thenceforth none knew what the other spoke. One would ask for mortar, and the other handed him a brick. In a rage, he would throw the brick at his partner and kill him. Many perished in this manner. Some God transformed into phantoms. Some he set against each other, so they fell in combat. Others were scattered over the earth. As for the unfinished tower, a part sank into the earth, and another part was consumed by fire. Only 1/3 of it remained standing. The place of the tower has never lost its peculiar quality. Whoever passes it forgets all he knows. The location, by the way, is in what is today's Iraq. How do we forget? How do we forget? Wow, exciting stuff. Is this pretty much how you remember the story of the Tower of Babel, the tone, if not the details? It's usually how you see it represented in art. From Bruegel the Elder to good old John Huston, painters and rabbis, movie makers and ministers all find in the Tower story a great way to warn us about the arrogance of power and to knock us down a peg. I agree that's a good thing to do from time to time. For guys like Nimrod, of course, not folks like you and me. People like Vladimir Donald Nimrod, his full name was recently discovered on a cuneiform tablet. Turns out that was his full name. So come on. They come and they go, and it's never a happy story. But I also need to tell you that this is not the story of Babel as it's told in the Bible. You were probably expecting a rip-snorting adventure when you came to hear a sermon called In Search of the Lost Ark, and maybe also hoping to learn why I spelled that last word with a C instead of a K. I hope you don't think that I tricked you with an exciting trailer when you learn that the Bible itself has nothing to say about a comic book villain attacking heaven. no magic clothes to give him superpowers, and no bloodshed. The scripture version is quieter, simpler, and also much, much more hopeful. Let me now share with you my own translation from the Hebrew original. I like to work directly with scriptures in their original languages whenever I can, not because I expect to make startling new discoveries about some secret or hidden meanings, but because reading in the original slows me down. Whenever we go slower, we notice things that we might otherwise miss. So let's read. The whole earth was one lip, or language, or way of using lips and tongue. And words were ones, all the same, all one. And in their pulling up, this means their migration, expressed as a progress of planting and pulling up tent stakes, an important detail for tent-dwelling people. In their, in their pulling up from the east, so they must have been headed west, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar, and they stayed there. So these nomads stop moving for a while. Now what? And each man said to his companion or neighbor, "Come on, we'll make bricks and burn them hard." So they had brick for stone and mud for mortar. These are humble materials, brick instead of the cut stone so often mentioned in the Bible as the preferred building material for the houses and palaces of the rich and arrogant. Cut stone, right? It's all got to be marble, your kitchen, right? So now let's review for a moment. Following their time together on Noah's Ark, the people share a common language, common lip. They can communicate freely with their fellow travelers, and as soon as they slow down in their migrations, this leads to a rapid set of developments. Without any kings or queens, they are able to pool their resources and their expertise. Come on, let's make bricks. This simple advance in technique and cooperation now quickly leads to another. Then they said, "Come on, let's build for ourselves a city." Come, let's build for ourselves a city. They quickly see how, brick by brick, something much more elaborate can be developed and extended horizontally. But they also imagine a vertical dimension to their project. Let's build ourselves a city and a tower with its head or top in the heavens. And now they add a dimension of purpose about just why they're doing it. So we will make for ourselves a name. Why make a name? It's for the sake of preservation and continuity. We will make for ourselves a name, lest we be scattered over the face of the earth. Lest we be scattered. They want to preserve their identity, to maintain it over time. They dread being scattered, nafutz in Hebrew. Who wants to be nafutz? They want to grow horizontally, vertically, over time, maintaining identity and making meaning all the while. Pooling their resources of talent and technique, common purpose, and above all, a common language that everyone understands, things start to move at dizzying speed. Tent-staking nomads become a community of builders for whom not even the sky is the limit. Reaching through space and over time, they're headed where no one has ever gone before. Dee-doo, dee-doo, doo-dee-dee-dee. There's no ill will suggested, no hostile hubris, just a bit of a rush as they get swept up in doing what they suddenly find that they can do. They're making great progress, working together, communicating well, neighbor to neighbor. If they lose sight of each other or let their project overshadow human feeling and human need, the scripture doesn't tell us. If anything, the text stresses the humbleness of both the building materials and the builders themselves. It's only when their God, a guy named Yahweh, enters the picture that trouble starts. Then Yahweh descended to see the city and the tower that the children of Adam, literally the children of the earth or soil, or the earthlings, the tower that the children of Adam had built. And Yahweh said, Behold, behold, a single people and one language, and this is the beginning of what they will do. So now, not impossible for them is all they plan to do. That is, they can do whatever they set their minds to. This God doesn't say that there's anything inherently wrong with the people's project. Couldn't a tower with its head in the heavens be a place to worship their Maker? The Bible told us earlier how God took soil and breathed in it to make these earthlings. Now they also take soil, bake it strong with the breath of fire, then stack it upon itself to draw closer to the one who made them, quote, in his image. They're imitating him, yes. Why not? The Bible doesn't answer, but tells us only that he says to himself, come on, come on, I don't know who he's talking to. Come on, let's go down and confuse their language so that each man does not understand the speech of his neighbor. The Hebrew word that I translate as confuse can also mean mix or pour out. The word translated as understand actually means hear or listen. So the verse can also be read as, come on, let's go down and pour out their speech so that each does not listen to the speech of the other. There's something very believable about this, very unsupernatural. Excitement mounts. Everyone starts talking at once. They pour out their speech in a rush. No one hears what the other is saying or listens, and then God scattered them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they left off building the city. They left off building the city. Please notice that the story doesn't say that the people stopped work on the tower, but that they left off building the city, that gathering place for all the people of the world, remember. Also notice that the Bible does not say that God destroyed the place. The flames and the fury and the blood in the sky were added later by painters, rabbis, and filmmakers. The scripture only says that they left off building the city. You could say that it's more a tale of distraction than of destruction. Or maybe it's just a delay that comes to balance that earlier rush of progress. The delay after Babel fills the greater part of the Bible until we near its end. So if we race now into the New Testament, we find a story in the Acts of the Apostles where people have gathered on the day of Pentecost, 50 days after Passover, when suddenly there comes a sound, quote, from heaven like the rush of a mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting, and there appeared to them tongues as of fire, distributed and resting on each of them. So now they began to speak in these tongues, without dictionaries or any prior practice. People find themselves speaking Greek and Arabic and Latin and a host of other languages, which speaks volumes to me about a deep desire to overcome the barriers of language and nation and ethnic division. And this urge to overcome those barriers, I think, might really be the secret arc of the Bible, hiding in plain sight for hundreds and thousands of years. No, it's not possible. It's not possible to really begin speaking in a language to which you've never been exposed. What this tale of speaking tongues really speaks to us about is a deep desire to understand, to listen, and to be heard. A longing for a world where this is possible. Where this is possible. And yes, it is. And yes, we still have a long way to go. This unnoticed arc passes through the stories of Babel and Pentecost right through to the book of Revelation. That final book of the Bible is filled with countless images and scenes as wild as anything that painters, storytellers, or movie makers could produce, even with today's CGI techniques. Here's where you find the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the great beast whose mark is the number 666, the 7 seals on 7 scrolls that roll open before us, the great lake of fire swallowing up the wicked, and the trumpet blast that signals the end of things as we have known them. But it's the great final image that I want to leave you with today. The image of a city that descends from heaven to earth, a city with a great high wall. This is from Revelation. Great high wall with 12 gates, on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And there is no temple in the city, for its temple is God himself. And the city has no need of sun or moon to shine upon it, for the glory of God is its light. By its light shall the nations walk, and its gates shall never be shut by day, and there shall be no night there. They shall bring into it the glory and the honor of the nations, all nations. Such gates make the wall more inviting than empty space could ever be. Come inside. All people, come find your joy and peace in me. Imagine that. A wall, 4 walls, saying welcome. The book calls this the New Jerusalem, but it's also the New Babel. A city for more than the people of the Bible or any single faith. A city like a house that's open on all sides, welcoming us in from every direction, from every land, speaking every language, self-illuminating. What is this if not a place of love and understanding, and at last, of real communication? From scattered space we gather, from emptiness to multitude. So let us each reach out wide, reach up high, and reach down deep as this year's stewardship campaign begins. And we continue to build this house of ours in this beautiful city, this beautiful, open city. We may be dizzied at times by how fast things come together. We may suffer slowdowns or setbacks, even some occasional confusion about language or design or procedures. But we'll make it, brick by brick, from hand to hand, all the way from the bottom to the top. So may it be.
Settle in, close your eyes, and listen to this prayer. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to us all and to all living things, evoking the presence of the great compassion. Let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering for each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are ongoing around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and our earth. Amen. Thich Nhat Hanh. True generosity is an offering, given freely and out of pure love, no strings attached, no expectations. Time and love are the most valuable possession you can share. Susie Orman. That is a true statement. There are other times, though, where monetary offerings help to show the love you have for others by giving them the needed tools to provide. One organization that we support weekly and is the February Share the Plate recipient is the Marion Polk Food Share. Were you aware that for every $1 the Marion Polk Food Share gets, 3 meals are provided for people right in your neighborhood? They also have recently started delivering nutritious food to people who are unable to come to their food pantries. Just one more example how they have continued to adapt in these times and meet the needs of our community. For those of you in person, today we are restarting the passing of the plate. So if you have something to offer, please do so. For those of you online, please visit the website to donate. Thank you for maintaining the community of UUCS and for the wider community of Salem. Reverend Moro, if you could bring up the social justice lantern, that would be fabulous. And if you don't mind lighting it to symbolize the actions that we may take today and in the days to come to sustain light and life in ourselves and in each other. And now, as you extinguish the other chalices, may we remember that the flame that we see before us ignites the flame of peace inside of us, for ourselves, this community, and for the world at large. Thank you. So today is the start of our pledge drive, growing our community. Please join the pledge team in the fellowship hall after the services for a brief program and a treat. Team members will have laptops to assist with filling out online pledge forms. And now we have a testimonial from one of our members about what UUCS means to them.
Good morning. I am the first of 4 testimonials that will be offered for the next 4 weeks. My name is Debbie Cordis Weaver. Louder? Take your mask off. Oh, forgot about this thing. Better? Like I said, I'm one of 4 testimonials that will be offered during our pledge drive for this particular year of 2022. I have been a Unitarian Universalist for 30 years. The majority of that was spent in California. We moved to Salem 4 years ago to be closer to our family that lives in Beaverton. And the first thing I did when I moved here was to look for a religious home, a place where I could be comfortable and to be with like-minded people, a place that practiced social justice, a place that could be home, a place where I could be safe and free of criticism and judgment. I wanted a place where there was free religious exploration, but most of all, absolutely most of all, I wanted a place where I could have a religious home and community. I wanted a community where I could grow old, a community that could be my home and I could be comfortable. It has grown, this church has grown to be one of the most important aspects of my life. And because it is that important to me, that I think it's also very important to support financially the things that are important to me. I would suggest that you might consider joining me in recognizing the value and the importance of the church that we belong to. Help me to assist in the continuance of our church and to provide a religious image or a representation amongst the communities in this city. Please contribute generously so that we can continue to have a presence in this town and have a religious home where we can be comfortable. And that's it. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Debbie. So, just as you did today, we ask that you continue to register for coming here. If for some reason you wake up on Sunday and you're like, oh, I forgot, no worries, come on down, and we just ask that you put your name down. Anna Talley has done a fabulous job of keeping track of everyone who's already shown their vaccination card, so we can keep track of that. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy, so please come. Next Sunday, Reverend Rick will be back in the pulpit talking about the recent increase in shaming others. He will explore what, if any, purpose there is to this, and if there aren't more constructive means of interacting with others. For news of the community, be sure to check out the hot topics on the website, this Friday's update, as well as Facebook. I guess is the third thing I'm thinking of. Vicky's nodding her head. Yes, Sarah, that's right. And if you aren't signed up for those, please contact the office and get signed up so that you can keep track of what's going on. Some things I want to point out to you is that Rich McLeod's concert is this coming Friday, both here in person or live stream. That should be fun. I've already gotten some responses, but if you want to chi or tie your little chi a little bit, we are going to try to start doing some Tai Chi before services. We're not quite sure when, but we will let you know. I've heard some responses. If you're interested, or if you know Tai Chi and would be interested in help leading this, please contact me. One way you can do that is at sarah@uusalem.org. And there's a new membership class starting, Point it is called, beginning April 3rd. And then, as you heard about earlier today, after we are done here, you walk yourself into the fellowship hall, which is nicely decorated, for the start of our pledge drive. Thank you.
May our doors be more inviting than empty space could ever be. And may all who come inside find joy and peace within. Have a great Canvas kickoff, you architects of fate, so that you can continue with all the good work that you do, brick by brick, from the bottom to the top. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Moro. You can stay for our last hymn, or you can lead us out. We will know that you will be missed. Okay, he is going to lead out the singing as we go into Please Stand if you feel like it, in body or spirit, as we go for number 29, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. Please join me in saying our closing words. May faith in the Spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.